Today, I spun a wheel that randomized every single Formula 1 team's drivers in 2025, but that is not all. I also randomized every single engineer that is currently on the F1 grid, and on top of that, I made all the cars equal at a terrible level of performance to see which team and driver combo will maximize their car the best in the 2025 Formula 1 season. My name is Chris, welcome back to CFRacing, and enjoy the video. Hey everybody, what's going on? Chris here, otherwise known as CFRacing, and like I said in the intro, I did spin a wheel probably like 100 times, and I randomized every single Formula 1 team's driver combinations, every single one of the teams, like technical chiefs, both of their race engineers, their head of aero, and whatever else they got in the F1 manager game. I randomized them all, and I put them all into different teams. It took absolutely forever to randomize all of these teams and set up the F1 manager game while making every single car equal. Like I said, it took so long. So if you guys could hit that like button, maybe even give a little sub if you enjoyed the video, that would be fantastic. But I'm going to reveal the teams to you guys in just a second. I'm sure you probably see the wheel spinning in the background. But what I did was a reverse championship order from 2025. So for example, Stake had the first spin, and then it would go to like Williams and then Haas or whatever. And on top of that, I also calculated all of the overalls on these teams here. The maximum a team could get was 644 if you add up, just say Verstappen's 92 overall, like Jonathan Wheatley's 92 overall, and maybe like Charles Leclerc's 90 overall, you know, and all that. So the max you can get is 644, and right now on the screen, you guys can see the teams. Take a look at this. Ferrari is the worst team apparently going into this simulation with a 552 out of 644 with Colapinto and Valtteri Bottas as their drivers. DeZordo, Hamlin, Moria, Joel, and Brown is the team. Ferrari did have the second last pick of the spin, so maybe when they were doing their spins, there weren't many good people left over. That's just how this works. Also, I did... just to make everything equal as well, every single team started with level 2 facilities, so nobody has an advantage out of everything. McLaren was the 9th best team with Antonelli and Perez as their drivers. Yikes. Well, Antonelli's alright, but not in the F1 game. Alpine is the 8th best team. We got Ricardo and George Russell as their drivers. Pretty solid drivers, but their engineers aren't very good. RB is the 7th best team with Hadjar and Pierre Gasly. Then we have Williams with Lewis Hamilton and Ollie Behrman. They also have GP, Jean-Pierre Lembias, I think I pronounce his name, as the as one of the race engineers, so that's pretty exciting. Aston Martin are the 5th best team. They had 5th pick in the draft, pretty even there, but they did end up getting Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc as their drivers, so that's probably the strongest driver lineup out of all the teams here. In 4th is Red Bull. Somehow they both got Stroll and Fernando Alonso as their drivers, and Pierre Wache, I think he's the #1 technical chief in the game, is the technical chief. Mercedes have Piastri and Snowden. They got Enrico Cardile from Ferrari, and they also got Peter Boddington and Marcus Dudley. Both of their actual race engineers in real life are staying at the team, so Piastri and Snowden got some good race engineers. Stake is the 2nd best team overall with a score of 610 out of 644. Their drivers are Max Verstappen and Nico Hülkenberg, and they got James Allison as a technical chief. That is huge, and apparently, according to my calculations here, the Haas team, who had I think 7th pick, is Haas team with 7th pick. They have a high score of 612 out of 644 with the driver lineup of Lando Norris and Zhou Guanyu. They do have, I think his name is Pat Fry. They got Jonathan Wheatley as the sporting director, Tondi as the head of aerodynamics from Ferrari. They have a pretty solid team going into this, but like I said, anything could happen once we go into round 1 in Australia. Once again, I will throw the teams and the drivers on the screen right now for you guys to take a look at. And now we're going to go to race 1 in Australia. Race 1 in Australia was a win for Max Verstappen, as he is the first driver to win in this simulation. He wins for Stake. Look at that, with Sainz in 2nd and Valtteri Bottas driving for Ferrari in 3rd. Perez is 4th with Hamilton 5th, Gasly 6th, Charles Leclerc 7th, Alonso 8th, Tsunoda 9th, and Nico Hülkenberg also for Stake rounds out the top 10. Verstappen had had fastest lap, and shockingly actually, Fernando Alonso driving for Red Bull started on pole. Heading into China, round 2 is back-to-back wins for Max Verstappen, with Nico Hülkenberg getting a P2. That is a 1-2 for stake, surprisingly, and that's Hülkenberg's first ever podium. Charles Leclerc round out the podium, followed by Gasly, Hamilton, Norris, Tsunoda, Alonso, Valtteri Bottas, and Sainz rounds out the points. Verstappen also got the Grand Slam with the fastest lap and pole position. Valtteri Bottas wins race 3 in Japan with Lewis Hamilton in P2 and Charles Leclerc actually in 3rd. That's very exciting. Hadjar had a great race there for RB with Alonso in 5th, Norris 6th, followed by Sainz, Verstappen, Tsunoda, Piastri rounds out the points. Valtteri Bottas had fastest lap and Charles Leclerc actually started from pole. Race 4 in Bahrain was a back-to-back win for Valtteri Bottas as he's taken Ferrari to the top step of the podium with Charles Leclerc in P2 and Carlos Sainz in 3rd. Tsunoda was 4th, followed by Lewis Hamilton, Sergio Perez, Oscar Piastri, Franco Colapinto, who also drives for Ferrari, Gasly P9, and Isaac Hadjar in P10. Charles Leclerc had fastest lap, and Valtteri Bottas actually won from pole. Race 5 in Saudi Arabia was Aston Martin's first win of the season and Carlos Sainz's first win of the season. He actually won a race before Charles Leclerc. Look at that. Valtteri Bottas finished 2nd and Oscar Piastri rounds out the podium in 3rd. Gasly was 4th, followed by Tsunoda, Max Verstappen, Sergio Perez, Franco Colapinto, Lewis Hamilton, and Alonso rounds out the points, with Sainz also getting the point for the fastest lap, and Valtteri Bottas started from pole. Here are your driver standings after round 5. Valtteri Bottas has a 20-point lead at the moment, ahead of Carlos Sainz in 2nd, with Max Verstappen in 3rd after taking those 2 wins to start the year. Charles Leclerc was 4th, followed by Hamilton in 5th, Gasly in 6th for RB, Tsunoda is 7th, Sergio Perez is 8th, and Piastri's actually losing to Tsunoda in the driver standings right now. That's very interesting. And Nico Hülkenberg rounds out the top 10. From 11 to 20, we have Fernando Alonso with Lando Norris in 12th, driving for the Haas, who apparently were the best team going into this overall-wise. Hadjar is 13th with Colapinto 14th, Lance Stroll's in 15th, George Russell 16th, Ricciardo 17th, Behrman is 18th, I guess the team that I created. I tried to make him really bad, but whatever. Zhou Guanyu is, I'm going to put him in 19th, and Antonelli is the last driver on this list. He's 21st in the standings right now, but I'm going to put him in 20th because I'm not counting the team I created just to simulate. I'm not upgrading this team at all, but Mick Schumacher's kind of carrying, I won't lie. Aston Martin are leading the Constructors' Championship, and that's what happens when you have a Leclerc-Sainz driver lineup, with Ferrari in 2nd and Sauber in 3rd. Mercedes 4th, followed by Williams 5th, RB 6th, McLaren is 7th, Red Bull is 8th, Haas, who were supposed to have the best team, are 9th, and Alpine is in dead last. I don't think that's a shock to anybody. Heading into Miami, you can see the team performance right now. McLaren has the clear best car by like 6%. That's actually a lot in this game, but they have Perez and Antonelli driving, so yikes. You can see my team at the bottom there. I'm not upgrading them the whole season, but Mercedes has a pretty solid car. So does RB and Aston Martin. Red Bull is 5th with that. Then there's Ferrari. Everybody looks like they brought upgrades between Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, and before that it was really between China and Japan. And I guess, I mean, their big upgrades are coming to these cars right now, so that's really cool as well. You can see they started all at like 20%. They brought some massive upgrades. They're already up to 67% of their car. So that's what happens when these teams are the teams all started equal with the same money, same facilities, and everything like that. Round 6 in Miami was won by Valtteri Bottas with Charles Leclerc in 2nd and Carlos Sainz in 3rd. Sergio Perez was 4th, followed by Pierre Gasly, Max Verstappen, Ollie Behrman, I believe those are his first points of the year, Lewis Hamilton, Colapinto, and Hülkenberg round out the points. Bottas had fastest lap, and Carlos Sainz started from pole. Race 7 in Imola was Charles Leclerc's first win of the season. You love to see that, with Sergio Perez in P2 and Valtteri Bottas in 3rd. Sainz was 4th, followed by Max Verstappen 5th, Isaac Hadjar 6th, Alonso 7th, Hülkenberg 8th, Zhou Guanyu 9th, Russell had P10, Bottas had fastest lap, and I know there's no fastest lap in 2025, but the F1 game counts it, and Charles Leclerc started from pole. Race 8 in Monaco was a home win for Charles Leclerc as Valtteri Bottas finished P2 and Verstappen was 3rd. Alonso was 4th, followed by Lando Norris, Ollie Behrman, Pierre Gasly, Lewis Hamilton, Isaac Hadjar, Franco Colapinto rounded out the points. Charles Leclerc also got the Grand Slam in Monaco, so that's simply lovely. Race 9 in Spain was won by Valtteri Bottas with Charles Leclerc in P2 and Gasly in 3rd. Carlos Sainz was 4th, followed by Lance Stroll, Max Verstappen, Fernando Alonso, Lando Norris, Nico Hülkenberg, Tsunoda was 10th, Daniel Ricciardo actually had the fastest lap, and Valtteri Bottas won from pole in Spain. And in round 10 in Canada, Bottas goes back-to-back with Charles Leclerc in P2, and Colapinto makes it a double Ferrari podium for the first time this season. Pierre Gasly's 4th, followed by Max Verstappen, Carlos Sainz, Nico Hülkenberg 7th, Hamilton 8th, Perez 9th, Lando Norris in 10th, Bottas had fastest lap, and Charles Leclerc started from pole. Your driver standings after round 10 in Canada look like this. Valtteri Bottas now has, I believe that is a 37-point lead ahead of Charles Leclerc, who's in P2, and Max Verstappen, who is in 3rd. What an interesting title fight we kind of got going on right now. Carlos Sainz is in 4th with Gasly in 5th. Lewis Hamilton had a good a couple races there, is in 6th. Perez in 7th. Alonso is in 8th. Yuki Tsunoda's 9th, and Nico Hülkenberg rounds out your top 10. Lando Norris and the Haas not doing as good as I thought he would. He is in 11th with Franco Colapinto in 12th. That podium really helped him. Isaac Hadjar is in 13th with Oscar Piastri in 14th in that Mercedes. That Mercedes car must be terrible for Piastri to be doing this bad. Ollie Behrman is in 15th. Stroll is 16th. Zhou is 17th. Russell's 18th. Ricciardo's 19th. And Antonelli is 21st. But I'm putting him in P20 right now. Aston Martin are leading the Constructors Championship by 50 points ahead of Ferrari in P2. Really getting carried by Valtteri Bottas right now. And Sauber is in 3rd. RB's 4th with Williams 5th. McLaren 6th. Mercedes 7th. Red Bull 8th. Yikes. Haas P9. And Alpine have 1 point with Ricciardo and Russell. I can't believe they're that bad. Heading in to round 11, which is going to be Austria, we have Ferrari now have the best car on the grid. They just surpassed McLaren going, I believe that is into Spain, so for round 9. Then we got Aston Martin and Mercedes, and then it's pretty close between Haas, Red Bull, and Williams, and even Sauber really, and Alpine have the worst car on the grid, but they're pretty close to Sauber, so I guess they're making some solid upgrades going into Austria. Race 12 in Austria was a win for Carlos Sainz. That's his 2nd win of the year, and it's a 1-2 for Aston Martin, as Charles Leclerc finished 2nd and Bottas was 3rd. Gasly for RB is doing really well. He was 4th with Hamilton 5th, Zhou P6, good result for him in the Haas, Behrman in 7th, Verstappen 8th, Stroll 9th, and Lando Norris finished P10. Sainz had fastest lap, and actually Franco Colapinto started from pole, but I believe he DNF'd that race. Race 12 in Silverstone is Sainz's 3rd win of the year as he goes back-to-back. Good job, Carlos, with Piastri in P2, and Charles Leclerc makes it a double Aston Martin podium in 3rd. Bottas was 4th. That's actually a huge result for Piastri in that Mercedes, by the way. Bottas was 4th, followed by Verstappen 5th, Perez 6th, Tsunoda 7th, Hadjar P8, Hülkenberg 9th, Behrman 10th, Sainz had fastest lap, and Valtteri Bottas started from pole position. Race 13 in Spa was Verstappen's 3rd win of the year, first since the first 2 races actually, as Charles Leclerc finishes 2nd and Piastri's 3rd. Looks like Piastri's finding some form right now. Sainz was 4th with Bottas 5th, Sergio Perez 6th, Hamilton 7th, Gasly 8th, Colapinto P9, Stroll P10. Bottas had fastest lap and pole, but he finished 5th in that race. Kind of interesting. Race 14 in Hungary was Carlos Sainz's 4th win of the year. He's really gelling with that Aston Martin right now, as Charles Leclerc makes it a 1-2. And he is finishing in 2nd. Bottas was 4th, followed by Verstappen in 5th, or Verstappen 4th, sorry. Verstappen, Stroll 5th, Piastri 6th, Gasly P7, Hadjar 8th, Tsunoda 9th, and Lewis Hamilton finished P10. But Carlos Sainz got the Grand Slam with the fastest lap and pole as he won in Hungary. Race 15 in the Netherlands was another win for Valtteri Bottas driving for Ferrari with Sainz in P2 and Charles Leclerc 3rd. Their consistency for Aston Martin is really helping them pull away in this Constructors' Championship. Stroll was 4th. Looks like Red Bull is finding some form with him and Alonso. Piastri was P5, Gasly 6th, Verstappen 7th, Colapinto 8th, Tsunoda P9, Hülkenberg P10, Alonso at fastest lap, and Charles Leclerc started from pole. The World Drivers' Championship is kind of getting closer between the top 3, with Max Verstappen dropping off, as Bottas has 275 points to Charles Leclerc's 244, and Carlos Sainz, with like 3 wins in the past couple races, is now up to 221 points. Verstappen now is down to 4th, with Gasly doing fantastic in the RB in 5th, Hamilton in 6th, Perez 7th. Looks like Piastri, with those good couple races, has blown past Yuki Tsunoda. He is in 8th. Alonso now is in 9th. Good for Red Bull to get some more points. And Yuki Tsunoda rounds out your top 10. And you guys can see Bottas has got 6 wins right now. He's having a fantastic season. Nico Hülkenberg is now demoted to 11th. And Lance Stroll has made his way up to 12th. Colapinto is up to 13th, with Norris dropping down to 14th and Hadjar in 15th. Behrman is 16th, Zhou P17. Russell is the last driver to score. He's 18th. Ricciardo has not scored a point, and neither has Andrea Kimi Antonelli driving for that McLaren. Wow. It is not close at all between Aston Martin. I think they're going to run away with it. They already have 6 wins on the year and 21 podiums. They're looking pretty solid. They've had 0 DNF so far as well, too, with Ferrari in 2nd and Stake Sauber in P3. RB's 4th with Mercedes 5th, Williams 6th. Looks like Red Bull are going to start making a push pretty soon. I think they're doing pretty solid upgrades with the car right now. They're in 7th. McLaren down to 8th. Haas in 9th, which is shocking considering, like I said, they had the best overalls going into the simulation. And in P10, you have Alpine with 1 point. You just can't make it up. Alpine is just so bad. They all started equal, by the way, so it's just how the game just develops Alpine. Heading into round 16 in Monza, you can see Red Bull actually has the best car, and they had a huge upgrade from Silverstone all the way to Hungary. That car put them from like 6th on the grid to 1st. That is impressive, with McLaren in 2nd and Ferrari 3rd. Aston Martin's 4th and Mercedes is 5th, and you can see the top teams are just good. I think it's just written in the code that the top teams are just going to be better than the other teams, because like I said, I started everybody equal, all their facilities are equal, all the team personnel was randomized. So look at that. You get the top 5 teams in the top 5. Isn't that a shock? RB is 6th with the 6th best car. Then we got quite a decent drop off between Haas, Williams, Sauber, and Alpine. They're all fighting for the kind of bad cars on the grid. But what can you say? I mean, they just got to keep upgrading. Round 16 in Monza was a win for Lance Stroll, and those upgrades for Red Bull are really working, with Sainz in 2nd and Piastri in 3rd. Tsunoda's 4th, followed by Valtteri Bottas, Max Verstappen, Fernando Alonso, Colapinto 8th, Norris 9th, Hülkenberg 10th, Tsunoda had fastest lap, and Alonso started from pole. Race 17 in Baku was back-to-back wins now for Red Bull. That's crazy, with Charles Leclerc in P2 and Max Verstappen in 3rd, Hamilton in 4th. Arguably the top 4 drivers in Formula 1 are in the top 4 in this race, with Carlos Sainz in 5th, Lando Norris 6th, Gasly 7th, Colapinto 8th, Bottas 9th, Tsunoda 10th, Alonso had fastest lap and pole and got the Grand Slam in 18. In Singapore was 3 wins in a row now for Red Bull. They're going absolutely crazy right now. Their car's insane, with Verstappen in P2 and Carlos Sainz in 3rd. Piastri's 4th, followed by Gasly 5th, Lando Norris 6th, Tsunoda 7th, Charles Leclerc had a bad race in 8th, Hadjar 9th, Colapinto 10th, Gasly had fastest lap, and Alonso started from pole. Race 19 in Circuit of the Americas was Mercedes and Oscar Piastri's first win of the year. Good job, Oscar, after having a terrible start to the season, with Charles Leclerc in P2 and Perez actually getting, I think, McLaren's first podium in 3rd. Sainz was 4th, with Stroll 5th, Gasly 6th, Bottas P7, Alonso 8th, Verstappen 9th, Colapinto P10, Gasly had fastest lap, and Sergio Perez actually started from pole. Unbelievable. And in round 20 in Mexico, we got 4 races to go after this, but Bottas wins in Mexico, where Sainz in P2 and Charles Leclerc 3rd. Perez was 4th, with Alonso 5th, Piastri 6th, Gasly 7th, and Norris 8th, Stroll 9th, Colapinto 10th, Bottas had fastest lap, and Alonso's he's racking up poles like crazy here. And after 20 races with 4 rounds to go, Valtteri Bottas has a 20-point lead ahead of Charles Leclerc in P2, and Charles Leclerc is 5 points ahead of Carlos Sainz in 3rd. Those are the only 3 who can win that. I guess Verstappen could, but he's not going to. Those are really the only 3 in contention for this driver's title. Verstappen is in 4th, with Gasly in 5th, doing really good for that RB. Piastri is making up a lot of ground in that Mercedes. He's in 6th. So is Sergio Perez in P7 for that McLaren. He's having a pretty good end to the year. Lance Stroll is somehow ahead of Fernando Alonso. I don't know what's going on there. Hamilton is in 9th, and Alonso is in P10. In 11th, we have Yuki Tsunoda. In 12th, we got Lando Norris. He's made up a couple of spots since the last time I checked on him, I believe. Colapinto in the Ferraris really holding the back. He's in 13th. Hülkenberg's also holding stake back. He's 14th, doing not as good as I thought he would, but he did get that podium earlier on. Isaac Hadjar's 15th. Behrman 16th. Zhou 17th. Russell 18th. And Ricciardo and Antonelli still have yet to score a point in this simulation. I'm really rooting for you, Kimi. I know you were like a 70 overall at the age of like 18 in this game, but come on, I'm really rooting for you. In terms of the Constructors' Championships, I can confirm Aston Martin have won it already. I'm sure I played the animation in the editing, but yeah, they're absolutely dogging everybody else. It's not even close. Ferrari is 2nd, with Sauber in 3rd, Mercedes 4th, Red Bull 5th, RB 6th, Williams in 7th, McLaren 8th, Haas P9, and Alpine are in dead last with their 1 measly point. Getting into the final 4 races of the year, you can see Red Bull just brought another upgrade going into Brazil. If they were dominating before, I mean, what's going to happen? Verstappen now with Alonso and Stroll. Ferrari and McLaren are very close between P2 and P3. Then there's Mercedes and Aston Martin 4th and 5th. RB 6th, Williams is 7th, Haas is 8th, Alpine is 9th, and Sauber now actually with Verstappen have the worst car on the grid. Race 21 in Brazil with the 5th best car according to the stats right now. It is Carlos Sainz. He wins in Brazil with Bottas P2 and Piastri in 3rd. That is huge for the title fight for Carlos Sainz. Alonso's 4th with Gasly 5th. Hamilton 6th, Perez 7th, Hadjar 8th. Leclerc really selling his title fight chances. He's in 9th. Antonelli scores his first points. Good job, Kimi. Only took you 21 races. He's P10. Sainz had fastest lap. And Charles Leclerc finished 9th. That was starting on pole. That is embarrassing. Race 22 in Vegas was a win for Fernando Alonso. Look at that. With Charles Leclerc, there we go, in P2. Sainz 3rd. And Bottas 4th. This is a close title fight. I don't know who's actually... I think Bottas still has it. I think he's still leading technically, but he's getting... It might be, I mean, he might even lose it to Sainz at this point. Sainz keeps finishing ahead of him. Perez was 5th in this race. Piastri 6th. Norris 7th. Verstappen 8th. Antonelli again. Look at him go. He's cooking right now. Antonelli P9. Tsunoda P10. Alonso at fastest lap and pole and got the Grand Slam in Las Vegas. 2 races to go as Alonso wins in Qatar as well. Oh my God, Alonso's cooking right now. With Charles Leclerc in P2 and Perez 3rd. Piastri was 4th, followed by Valtteri Bottas 5th, Sainz 6th, Lance Stroll 7th. Antonelli is going crazy right now. He's P8. He's on a heater right now. Gasly's P9, Colapinto P10 with Bottas having the fastest lap, and he also started from a pole. And now in the final race here in Abu Dhabi, Fernando Alonso goes back to back to end the season, by the way, which is crazy. Bottas finishes in P2. Basically, I think he solidified the championship with that, with Charles Leclerc in 3rd and Carlos Sainz in 4th. It's going to be close, but I think Bottas does have it. I'll have to check the math in just a second here. Sergio Perez was 5th, with Lance Stroll in 6th, Colapinto 7th, Lando Norris 8th, Piastri at P9. Antonelli ends out the season, I think, with 4 points or 3 or 4 point finishes in a row. That might have just saved his season. Charles Leclerc had the fastest lap, and Fernando Alonso had pole position. And at the end of this season, it wasn't as close as I thought it was, as Valtteri Bottas won the championship by, I think that's 22 points, if my math is correct there. Good job, Valtteri Bottas. He wins the championship for Ferrari in this completely random simulation. And Carlos Sainz actually got ahead of Charles Leclerc at the end of the year by 2 points. That is very surprising. That one race in Brazil, I think, just really ruined it for Charles Leclerc, as Sainz was 2nd with 355 points, and Charles Leclerc was 3rd with 353 points. But Aston Martin, like I said, dominated the Constructors' Championship. Verstappen shows he's a class above the field with the worst car on the grid. He finished 4th, even though it wasn't the worst car the whole season. Alonso, wow, what an end to the season. Puts him up into 5th, with Oscar Piastri in 6th. Gasly was 7th. Sergio Perez was 8th in the McLaren. Not bad for him. Lance Stroll makes it into the top 10. He was 9th. And Lewis Hamilton actually rounds out the top 10 in the Constructors or Drivers' Championship with P10. Yuki Tsunoda in the Mercedes was 11th, with Lando Norris in 12th. Haas really let me down in this simulation. I thought they had a really good car going into this. Franco Colapinto was 13th, with Isaac Hadjar in 14th. Nico Hülkenberg was 15th. He also let Sauber down quite a lot, but like I said, they did have the worst car, so I mean, Verstappen's just a god. Ollie Behrman was P16. Zhou was 17th. Antonelli, with those like 4 point scoring finishes, moved him up to 18th, so he wasn't last, so that's good. George Russell was P19, and Daniel Ricciardo, unfortunately, was the sucker who finished in dead last. Like I said, Aston Martin basically doubled, like, 2nd place in terms of points. Not really, but they was pretty close. Aston Martin kind of dominated. They had 708 points, 7 wins, 32 podiums, 8 fastest laps, 8 poles, did not have a single DNF. I mean, what a season for Aston Martin. Ferrari was P2 and Red Bull was 3rd. Sauber was 4th, basically carried by Verstappen. Mercedes was 5th. RB was 6th. McLaren, big letdown, they were 7th. Williams was 8th. The even bigger letdown was Haas in 9th. And I mean, I'm not surprised Alpine finished dead last. That's just the most Alpine thing ever. And you can see by the end of the season what cars were actually the fastest overall. So I guess Ferrari in between Australia and China were the fastest. Same between Japan and Bahrain. But then McLaren had the fastest car overall. And then it switched back again to Ferrari. Then it kept staying as Ferrari. So it makes sense why Bottas did win the championship, as he did have the fastest car for almost half the season. And then for like the second half, it was just all Red Bull. And we saw Alonso and Stroll pick up a bunch of race wins by the end of the year. But yeah, look at that Sauber. They were never even close to anywhere near the fastest car in Verstappen. I think had 3 race wins for that team and a lot of podiums. Somehow they got worse in between USA and Mexico as well, which is kind of embarrassing. I don't know how the heck you do that. But yeah, that is the upgrade order starting from 20%. I think they were all started at 22%, I believe it was, all once the season started. And look at that, they end up 75% to the best car they possibly can build, which is kind of crazy here. So here's some final stats for the end of the year. Fernando Alonso actually had the most poles, tied with Carlos Sainz with 7. Leclerc and Bottas both had 6. Verstappen, Perez, and Colapinto actually all had 1 pole each, which is pretty exciting. That's a lot of different teams there. We got Alonso for Red Bull, Sainz and Leclerc for Aston Martin, Bottas for Ferrari, Verstappen for Stake, Perez for McLaren, and Colapinto as well for Ferrari. In terms of wins, Bottas did have the most with 7, and he was a champion. Sainz had 5, Alonso had 4, 3 of them at the end of the year, which is crazy. Verstappen had 3, Leclerc, Stroll, and both had 2 wins, and Piastri had 1 win. And a good job for Stroll there, he did pretty good. And in terms of podium, Charles Leclerc had the most with 19, but I guess other than those 19, he didn't finish anywhere near the points, which kind of sucks. He was definitely the most consistent, but he still finished 3rd, so it wasn't that bad. Bottas had 15 podiums, Sainz had 13, Verstappen had 6, Piastri had 6. Verstappen only had 6 podiums and 3 wins. That's crazy. Alonso had 4 podiums and 4 wins. Those are all he did. If he finished on the podium, it was a win. That's insane. Perez had 3 podiums. Lance Stroll had 2 podiums and 2 wins as well. So if Red Bull, if they had a good car, they were winning, but if not, they weren't good. Gasly got a podium, same with Hamilton, Colapinto, and Nico Hülkenberg. So guys, that is going to wrap it up for today's simulation. If you did enjoy and you want to see more simulations like this, please, it took forever to make this, so if you can hit that like button and subscribe, that would be fantastic. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next one.